This call is being recorded.
Welcome to the artwork of CP, everyone. Today is going to be a little bit of a wonkified episode just because as you guys know, Danielle and I have CP. We also have other issues pertaining to that CP. Pertaining to CP, CP is one condition that we do have. But for example, and I admit this, I am 34 years old with with old person's call button around my neck, which I feel old and I feel like I shouldn't have one. But people they convinced me the last time, and it completely backfired on me. People convinced me yet again I need a call button. And so, yes, I'm going to set it up today and tomorrow. I actually have it on. So today I'm on it, and tomorrow I'm actually going to call them and set it up and go through that process. And so, but what I wanted to let you guys know is not only should your loved ones, and I'm going to mention another piece of technology because I forgot I did this until my BFF brought it up, and she's laughing at me because she knows what I'm about to say. And those of you that are on the Apple ecosystems all know that the Apple Watches now have a SOS emergency button, and they do track your heartbeat. They do track your heartbeat. So when I reset up my Apple Watch, which will be in the next couple of days here, I am updating my Apple Watch software. See, once I put it up to you guys, now I have to do it. Now I have a million accountability buddies here. I am updating my Apple Watch software so it will work again. And then I am going to put it on my list, put the SOS button on it. So not only will I have a medical call button on me, I will have a watch too. So basically, this is to keep people healthy during the time of the pandemic. And until Danny, I mentioned, and I forgot that the Apple Watch that. And so teaches me a lesson to set up my Apple Watch. But and yes, I do have one because I am on the Apple ecosystem, and yes, I brought it down with me to Arizona. And so it's interesting because I was filling out my medical 5 wishes. Now you can pick up this booklet and someone suggested, who's on my team, to do a public service announcement. So I said, hey, might as well do one. And so the medical 5 wishes are basically how you're going to be treated when you die. When you die. And if you don't hand the medical 5 wishes to a doctor, the hospitals will do whatever they want with the dying patient. And they will keep you on a ventilator until you're possibly in the vegetative states. And then they go, oh, the family wants a bowl. And I thank God knew what my mom wanted. She didn't necessarily have it written down. And granted, I still have to get And I do have a medical power of attorney, and I do have a do not resuscitate. Now, granted, I still have to get that one witness, and I still have to get the medical 5 wishes witness, but they're pretty much done. All I have to do is get them witnessed, and I will get my do not resuscitate witnessed too. And so basically, what the 5 wishes say, and is how you want to be treated when you're dying, or how you want to be treated if you land up in a predicament and can't speak. And I happen to have, I'm lucky that I happen to have not 1, not 2, but 3 people who are willing to do this for me as my medical 5 wishes, and my doctor will know it. And there is a cutout. I'm thinking of the name here. There's a cutout card that you have to stick in your wallet to say, look, I have the medical 5 wishes. Here's what, for example, it will say, do you want to die at home? You check yes if you want to die at home. Because as I said, being on a ventilator, and I watched a woman die, which happened to be my mom. I watched a woman die on a ventilator, and being on a ventilator was the worst thing that I could ever go through. Talk about trauma. Geez, talk about trauma at age 23. And so, yeah, that's where my trauma situations come from. And so, talk about trauma. But since I was the only one that knew, and I will make this clear, and I've made this clear to I'm slowly making it clear to all my medical powers of attorney. One who's definitely doing it knows, but I will slowly make this clear. I don't want my family nor my close friends to be pulled off in a room to discuss what they're going to do, because the hearing, believe it or not, and people don't believe me when I say this, but believe it or not, hearing is the last thing to go. It's the swallowing capabilities that it's your legs and the swallowing capabilities, and obviously your speech. Your speech is the first thing to go. Your swallowing capabilities are the second thing to go, and then, but the hearing is the last to go. And people don't believe me when I say this. I stopped my own mom from having a heart attack, what was going to be a heart attack, and I knew she was about to have one too, because where the ICU was parked, and where the nurses station was parked. For those of you that have been in nursing long enough, you know where the ICU and then the nurses station. Well, the nurses station is outside the ICU. Well, the nurses are so used to these goddamn noises, and sorry for my language, but they are, that they will not come and do anything about it. So her machines were beeping away, and I strolled down the hallway. I thank God was in my chair at the time, otherwise I would have ran down the hallway. Because I all of a sudden got this premonition of help me, help me, help me. And that was her saying to me, help me, help me, help me. And because so I walked in that room, and the first thing I said is I pulled my chair up to the bed rail as close as I could get it, and I would have turned it sideways if I was in a power chair, I would have turned it sideways. But the first thing I said was, I love you, Mom, I love you, Mom, I love you, Mom, enough to get her to calm down, enough to get her to calm down enough that someone was in the room with her enough to get her to calm down to understand that someone was in the room. And of course, they all left me alone, and my mom's brother came back into the room after I calmed it down. But I, to this day, and that was on, she died on August 12th, but at 5 a.m. on August 12th. And that must have been on August 8th, 2010, when, because I went down to Denver immediately after play camp. I scooted off that stage, went and got my hair done, and I remember that day so distinctly. Scooted off that stage, went and got my hair done and all things, and then got taken down to Denver. And so that must have been the help me, help me, help me escapade. Must have been August 8th or August 7th. I can't remember now. But because your hearing is the last to go, and people do this all the time, they pull the family members into a conference room. And because I've done it, and I've done it for my own mom, and they pull the family members into the conference room and then ask and then give the family members the update. And I remember so distinctly, even though I was listening to the update, I remember so distinctly looking across the hallway, making sure that her medical machines didn't go off, because didn't go off, so I could race back over there and exit myself from the update. But they asked all of us when, and then also bring this back to the medical wishes, why the medical wishes are so important. They asked all of us, well, she is in a vegetative state, what do we do? And it will say in the medical wishes, if I'm on a mentally induced coma and I'm not improving, I want to be pulled off, or I want to be left on the ventilators and in medically induced coma. That is up to you, or I don't want it at all. In my case, I want to be put in medically induced coma for pain for pain management, believe it or not. And so I in my case, I want to be put in mentally in this coma for pain management, but because I have CP and I have tone issues, and if I'm under stress and dealing with a medical procedure, I freak out, and that's the only reason why I want to be put in mentally in this coma, so that my tone would calm itself down enough to relax. And you guys know this, and I'm slowly but surely telling my medical powers of attorney why, because they're like, when you in a medically induced coma, I don't picture you in one. And yeah, but I just figured it out. Something's telling me not to skip the mentally induced coma if I don't have to, and that's because when my tone and Danielle's tone gets so high when we're sick or when we're freaked out, and Danielle would agree with me on this one. When we have 1,000 muscle spasms a day. Well, if you're doing something major in the hospital, God knows they want to sedate people because they don't want them jumping out of their skin. And I don't want to be jumping out of CP skin and having contractures and muscle spasms if I can help it. So that's the only reason why. Yeah, Danny uses, yeah. And so that's the only reason why I'm going to be in a medical induced coma if worst comes to worst. I'm not in a medical induced coma for any other reason. And so when the nurse slash social worker asked all of us, to get back to my mom, they asked all of us, they go, well, she's not improving and all this stuff. And I said, and my dad almost fell over in the chair when I said it. I was at the top of, I always land up at top of tables because I'm in a wheelchair. And so I was at the top of the table. The social worker slash nurse was sitting next to me. It was my mom's family. My dad was on one side of me, and then my dad's brother, who was visiting, trying to help, was also in the room. And when I said she wants to be taken off the mentally induced coma, out of the mentally induced coma and die, my dad just looked at me like, you knew that before I knew that, and I'm married to her. And I said, oh yes, she told me, she stated to me in a fun hallway, you guys. This wasn't written down. This wasn't written down in the medical 5 wishes. And she stated this to me in the medical, in a front hallway, as I'm walking across the front hallway, and she says, well, if I die, I don't know why we were talking about death as we're going down the valley to do something. I don't know why we were talking about that as random as that. She says, if I die, the clothes would go to my sisters, and then you, Win, would take all my jewelry, which I have, which I've given up a watch, but that's the only piece I have given up, and I gave that up for a very specific purpose. And then if I ever, she said, if I ever get in a medically induced coma, if they ever put me in a medically induced coma and I'm in a vegetative state, pull me out immediately. And so my main point B is if you don't have access to the medical five wishes, and you can ask your doctor if they have a copy of the medical five wishes. You can ask a registered RN if they have a copy of the medical five wishes, or if you have, if you you can just look it up online, the medical five wishes. It is all 50 states, including Colorado, including Arizona. In North Dakota and South Dakota, you have to get it notarized, but that's no big deal. You can get notaries at a bank. You can get notaries every which way now, and so you can even have a lawyer notarize it. But in the state of Colorado and Arizona, you can't. You don't have to get it notarized. And here's another thing that I just found out that I just passed on to Danielle, and she'll stick this link in the show notes. On iOS, in the upgraded iOS, which I believe is iOS 15, they are, yeah, it is iOS 15. I don't believe it's iOS 15 because we are doing it iOS 14 right now. So in the latest version of iOS, they are now making state IDs and medical IDs on your phone. And so in the state of Arizona, lucky duck me, when I get Arizonan ID, which will be in the next couple of weeks here, when iOS 15 comes out, I am going to put my Arizona State ID / medical ID on my phone because I now have a medical ID on my phone / I will get SOS back on my phone and SOS back on my Apple Watch, so that with my call button and my Apple Watch and my phone, if I'm out and about and need emergency personnel, or someone on my behalf needs emergency personnel, I will actually call emergency personnel for them and then assist what I can do to assist. But basically, what's now happening is EMTs all across the country, including Phoenix, Arizona, are using these phone. They're not necessarily using the medical five wishes. The medical five wishes only in hospital settings, quite frankly. And so the EMTs are now using a do not resuscitate. They're now using if it's not a heart attack, which in my case it won't be. It will be a broken leg, knowing me. But now EMTs are using these devices that we use every single day. These devices are smart enough to now have SOS, and you can have people in your contact list be your SOS. And I probably won't set it up on. I just have to see. I just have to ask a medical liaison about that. Should I set up SOS on my phone along with the medical call button? And so on my watch too. So basically, what I want you guys to do is look into a medical 5 wishes, because then the doctors can't do whatever the heck they want with your loved ones. Look into the medical 5 wishes for you, yourself, and your loved ones, and make it. And the only thing is, you have to ask the well, you have to ask a person who really truly loves you. Will you stand in for me if I can't make medical decisions on my own? My three said yes. One of them did medical power of attorney for me, which is slowly being transferred down to Arizona. So that is the only requirement. And then obviously you have to cut the cord and cut the piece of paper cord out and stick it in your wallet. But the medical 5 wishes, and you have to get it witnessed as you sign it. But I'm going to do that. I'm also going to get my do not resuscitate witness. And the reason why someone asked, as a general question, why are you creating all this content? Do you do it for yourself or do it for others? I'm not only doing it for myself to educate you guys about cerebral palsy, and Danielle's been gracious enough to help me, but and help me do another podcast. Otherwise, I would go insane talking to the microphone myself. But I'm also doing it as a legacy piece, because now I'm saving. You can either do it two ways. You can either fill up your voicemail with voicemails from the loved ones that passed on. I am now saving voicemails from, and I wish I recorded my mom and dad, but I didn't even think about it. The last conversation my mom and I had, I didn't. She was in the hospital, and we were just talking about all this stuff. I wish I recorded that one, but I kind of, as I said to you guys, I wish I recorded a podcast with my dad, but the circumstances were not cool to be. Let's just put it that way. The circumstances were not cool in my book to, and then add to the stress of me bringing me and my laptop in. It wasn't cool. So with my mom on the other hand, if I would have thought about it, I would have I would, if I would have thought about it, I would have recorded my mom as a legacy piece. But now I'm saving voicemails in a notepad from my phone, and I'm actually saving voicemails from my phone in the notepad and on my laptop, and so I can play it when that person passes away, because I still want to hear their voice. It's a legacy piece. And when as long as we keep the RSS feed going, you guys can listen to the artwork of CP as long as you want to be educated about CP. Now, I have an announcement. Danielle knows what it is. And Danielle and I talked about this. And it's going to be really hard on me. And because of everything that's going on in my life right now, we're going to do a full-fledged episode on why I am stopping something. And not to say that not, and Danielle looks like she's about to cry right now, because of the purposes of stopping something. It's not because I don't love it. It's actually heartbreaking when I think about it. It's not because I don't love doing it. It's because I am, for health reasons, I need to stop something, and we will go into a full-fledged episode as to why, and it will be stopping, I will tell you, it will be stopping in January 2022, because and you guys who have stuck around me long enough probably know what I'm speaking of when I say it. And because Danielle and I feel more comfortable educating people about cerebral palsy than I do doing something else, because I need to protect I can't have too much stress in my life now that I have heart issues. And yes, I did go get this has to do with medical heart issues anyway. Yes, I did go get an echocardiogram. Yes, it looks to me, because I briefly looked at it. Yes, it looks to me like an overactive heartbeat. Yes, we're going to have to do something about that, because overactive heartbeat puts stress on the stress on the lungs, stress on the heart, stress on everything, stress on mental situations here. And in order to protect my heart, I have to stop something, which is heartbreaking to both Danielle and I, but she is going to be supportive of it, and we've already discussed it offline, and we will go into a full-fledged episode next week as to why we're doing it. And I will tell my doctors probably that I am no longer doing the stressful things in my life, and because I want to protect my heart as long as I can. And now with the issues of overactive heartbeat, and people keep teasing me, which is true. People keep saying, well, you have overactive heartbeat because that's full of love. And it's true. And I'm going to cry about it. I knew I was. And it's true. But in all kidding aside, in all seriousness, I am going, and as I said, if they have to go in there and open me up, and we might be, I have to decide, it may be stopped completely, it may be dropping episodes about cerebral palsy on that feed. I'll decide that by next week. And so, but something is stopping just because I'm trying to protect my heart. And if I do not protect my heart, God knows what will happen. And something has been keeping me going for the last 5 months. And for the past year, because I didn't get diagnosed with any heart issues. I thought they were all cured until I got down to Arizona, even though I was feeling heart palpitations in Aspen every time I went to bed. So, and so I just feel that the time is right, and I will be doing something, and still going to traveling based upon the artwork of CP, traveling because of the artwork of CP. No longer, you guys will find out in more detail. I am so tired of dealing with. I had a long week, you guys. If I sound tired, if I sound like I'm about to burst into tears, I had a long week. Let's just put it that way. And I am slowly but surely getting adjusted to having the movement. And as I said last week, the roommate necessarily, she's older like me, and we don't necessarily like social media. So so yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. But that said, thank you for following us, and we will see you guys next week. And go look up the Medical 5 wishes. Go look up the Apple Watch to make it dance when it comes to the Medical 5 wishes. And also ask friends and family if they want to step in for you as a podcast listener or your loved ones to be a medical liaison when you lose the capability to speak. And you may want to share this episode out with loved ones, and especially the older generation, because the older generation, it's kind of, they don't want to do the Medical 5 wishes, let alone they don't want to go back to the hospital, and they don't want to be told what to do. And so you may want to say that, look, I'm only this podcaster who's only 34 years old already has her Medical 5 wishes set up. Do not resuscitate, 99% set up, and plus the Medical 5 wishes, 99% set up, and is aware of the call button, and will soon be making an Apple Watch dance. So I think that the older generation will get a kick out of me, that the younger generation is actually doing stuff. So if I fall over, that and you know, I like to make a big stink out of these things to educate you guys about cerebral palsy. So we will see you guys next week, and we will do a double episode next week, and then we'll do the suicide and air call stuff. I know I promised you guys that. I just haven't had time to sit down at my desk and deep dive. And so we'll see you guys next week and do a double episode on the speed. So you're going to hear me say welcome to both podcasts because I'm only repeating it once. And then we're going to do we're going to do this. And next week will be an interesting episode. And so, it's going to be an interesting episode, but we'll make it work. And so we'll see you guys next week. Bye, you guys.
Bye.